Explaining over here in middle about the uniqueness of the proofs that the Rambam brings for the coming of Mashiach. Until now we explained regarding the third proof that the Rambam brings from the cities of refuge. The Rebbe explained why the Rambam needed to add this proof altogether to begin with, and especially why does the Rambam add it and put it in a separate halacha, not together with the first two proofs that he brings from V'Shem Hashem Elokech HaShvus Chen Parshas Tetzavim. So, in a nutshell, the Rebbe basically explained that what's so unique about the third proof is that it makes Mashiach a detail and a part of a mitzvah, and therefore it has the same qualities of a mitzvah. The first two proofs is promises of the Torah, prophecies of the Torah. But a mitzvah of the Torah has a whole different realm, a whole different meaning, a whole different quality, a whole different, it's a totally different. What is it? Now the other parts of the Torah are the promises of the Torah. It's not that they're not possible to change. They could be that they will change. It could be that technically it won't change. It could even be that maybe you didn't do Avedis, and therefore maybe it won't take place, maybe it will. Also, it could be meaning, someone could say it means only spiritual, not physical. But a mitzvah of Torah has this specialty that it must take place, and it always has to take place, and in essence is eternity, not something else is making it exist forever, but it itself exists forever because it's one with Hashem, and it's not possible to change no matter what. Even if he does Aved, it doesn't take away a mitzvah of a Torah from the mitzvah take place. And also it must be Megashmius, which means this makes the redemption, the true and ultimate redemption, something that must take place on its own, not something else is make sure that it will happen. Rather, it on its own must take place because it's a part of a mitzvah of Torah, and it must be fulfilled. The Gula will for sure come, even if they didn't do Avedis, because a mitzvah of Torah never changes and it never gets nullified. And also a mitzvah, the Gula, has to be physically begashmius. Now, according to this, the Rebbe is going to explain another diuk regarding the second proof that the Rambam brings for the coming of Mashiach. What is the second proof that Rambam brings from the cities of refuge? This time we're going to need to add 3 more cities of refuge when Mashiach comes. That is the third proof that Rambam brings. But the second proof, what is the second proof where the Torah in Chamishi Chom Sheter it speaks about the coming of Mashiach? You know? Parshas Bilam. We spoke about this last night. The prophecy of Bilam. Bilam says a prophecy about the two Mashiachs. There, when Balak hires Bilam to curse the Jewish people, God forbid, or curse the enemies of the Jewish people, like we would say, Bilam, instead of cursing them, he blesses them. How does he bless them? He says Mashiach is going to come. So the Rambam brings what Bilam's prophecy about the coming of Mashiach. Now we're up to page Memzayin Sif Yud. והנה בדרך זו יש לבאר ידידיוק בלושן הרמב"ם שבראיה מפרשת בילם אמר אף בפרשת בילם נאמר ושום ניבה בשני המשיחים שלכן אינו מובן טעם הדגשה זו ושום ניבה שנאמר בדרך נבואה. According to this, we can explain another detail in the words of the Rambam. So also in Parshas Bilam it says Af Parshas Bilam Namar V'Shom Niba B'Shnei HaMashiachim. Also in Parshas Bilam it says over there he has prophesied about the two Mashiachs. Seemingly it's not understood. Why does the Rambam need to emphasize that what Bilam said, it's not enough that it says it in the Torah, which that it's on its own is enough that Moshe Rabbeinu brought it in Torah. It's not bluff. It's not something fake. Obviously, it's for sure going to take place, and it's going to happen, right? So why do you need to emphasize that it was said in a way of a prophecy, that Hashem gave it over to Bilam to say in a way of a prophecy? Why does the Rambam need to emphasize it? Yes? Would the Rambam just bring random things that don't have, that's like not a good source? No, obviously, he's only going to bring the good proofs for the coming of Mashiach. So why does he need? Torah says it. It says it in the Chumash. That's enough of a reason to know that it's real. So why do you need to emphasize that it's said in a way of a nevuah? But so the Rebbe says, it's going to be very, very hard to say, to answer why does he need to emphasize that it's said in a way of a nevuah. So maybe you could say, why does that mean to emphasize that it was said in a way of a nevuah? Because you might say, who says whatever a goy, a Rasha, a Jew hater, whatever he says is true, right? If some non-Jewish, imagine some non-Jewish pope or something that hates the Jewish people would start saying Mashiach is coming, yeah? Would I bring that as a source that Mashiach is going to come? I would never bring that as a source for this that Mashiach is going to come. Why? Because this guy's a Bilam. It's a Bilam HaRasha. Why would I bring a proof of the coming of Mashiach from Bilam HaRasha? So therefore, you're going to answer like you're saying, that why does that? So I would think that he's just a bluff. Why do I need to bring it? Therefore, the Rambam needs to emphasize that that he was a Navi, Visham Niba, that because at the end of the day, Hashem appointed, just like Hashem says, just like I made prophets from the Jewish people, and I made the greatest prophets of the Jewish people, which is Moshe Rabbeinu, I also made prophets in the non-Jewish, from the non-Jews. And I made great prophets, just as Moshe Rabbeinu in the non-Jews, and that is Bilam. Bilam was the greatest prophet compared to Moshe Rabbeinu in the non-Jewish prophets, which means that it's a real thing, that Hashem speaks to him. Hashem gives them over messages, which is coming directly from Hashem. Like Bilam said, that when Balak hired him to Krish, he said, whatever Hashem's going to put in my mouth, that's what I'm going to be able to give over. Which means, that's why the Rambam has to emphasize that Bilam said that Mashiach is coming in a way of a prophecy. Because if it wouldn't be in a way of a prophecy, why should I listen to Bilam Bechlal? A Goysha, a Jew hater, is just saying, Mashiach is going to come, even though he's saying something good. But why should I believe him? Therefore, the Rambam has to emphasize he was a prophet. And because he was a prophet, I know that Hashem gave him over this message, and now I know that it's real. So that's why the Rambam has to emphasize that Bilam said it in a way of a prophecy. But the Rambam says you can't say this is the answer. The Rambam emphasizes that Bilam said it in a way of a nevuah. Why not? Why can't this be the reason? Sherei Kev on Shapashas Bilam. Nechtev Abeteiras Meishe. Move on, Upashut Shadvarim Amitim Heim. Because Parshas Bilam was written in Chumash, in Moshe Rabbeinu's Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu specifically wrote down Parshas Bilam, and he brought it in Chamishi Chumash. It's in a Chumash. I'm not bringing some Goysha book, some Goysha non-Jewish literature, and I'm going to show you that in this non-Jewish literature it says Mashiach is going to come. I'm going to prove that. That's not where it says the Nevuah is Bilam. I'm not giving you some book Bilam wrote. Moshe Rabbeinu wrote it in Chumash. In Chamishi Chumash Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu wrote down Bilam's prophecy. What does that mean? That Moshe Rabbeinu would not write in Hashem's Torah something that's not true. So obviously this that it says in Parshas Bilam that Mashiach is going to come, that on its own is enough of a proof to let me know that Mashiach is going to come. So the Rambam could have just bring down that in Parshas Bilam it speaks about Mashiach. That's it. Why does the Rambam need to emphasize that it's brought down in Parshas Bilam in a way of a prophecy that Mashiach is going to come? What's the point? What is so special? Why does the Rambam need to emphasize that Bilam said in a way of a prophecy? It says it in Torah. It says it in Hashem's Torah. I know it's going to take place, even though it's Bilam Harasha, but it's in Hashem's Torah. V'yeshleimar shegam zeh kavanas Rambam hi lashmiyeinu chumra nisafes v'mishayim aymin b'malach HaMashiach sheneis v'zeh shu kefer b'teira u'v'meisher Rabbeinu hareyu kefer gam b'divrei nevuah. So what's the Rambam coming to emphasize over here? Why is he emphasizing that Bilam said it in a way of a prophecy? Because the Rambam is coming to bring out that someone that doesn't believe in the coming of Mashiach, or he doesn't wait for Mashiach, he doesn't believe that the King Mashiach, that Melech HaMashiach is going to come, he's not only denying in the 5 books of Torah B'chalal in general, and he's not only denying in Moshe Rabbeinu, he's also denying in Nevuah. There is a unique quality in prophecy, but there's something special in prophecy more than all the other parts of the Torah, more than just Torah on its own. Okay, like we're going to explain right now. What is so special that Rambam is coming to emphasize that someone doesn't believe in Mashiach? It's not enough that he's kofer in Torah and in Moshe Rabbeinu. And the third proof, we said from Adi Miklat, is he's kofer also in the mitzvahs of the Torah, but he's also denying in the nevuahs of the Torah, the prophecy. There's something very, very special and unique in the prophecies of the Torah. And what is that? So let's see. Now, first of all, someone could say the words of the Torah are more stronger than the Divrei Nevi'im. The whole purpose of the Nevi'im are mainly to make us fulfill the Torah. They're meant to command us to fulfill the Torah. So what is so special about the Divrei Nevi'im more than the Torah, that's the reason that Rambam has to emphasize that Pashas Bilam said in the Torah. So the Rebbe explains, the Av Shedivrei Torah Chamurim and Divrei Nevi'im, even though the words of the Torah are much more severe than the words of the prophets, nevertheless we find that the words of the prophets are much more stringent. There is something more severe when someone desecrates the words of the prophet more than desecrating the words of the Torah. The punishment for someone that does not fulfill and listen to the words of the Torah, it depends on what type of Aveda he did, and according to the Aveda that he did is the punishment that he gets for that Aveda. There's not one punishment is the exact same for all the different types of the Avedas of the Torah. No, it makes a difference. It depends if it's a more lenient Aveda, smaller Aveda, or it's a more severe Aveda, and according to that, it's the different types of punishment that a person can get for not watching and obeying the words of the Torah. Mashen kenever al divrei hanavi ein nafkemine be'eze inin avar v'afil imu b'divrei hareshus chayv mitzvah b'dei shamai. It's not so regarding someone that disobeys the words of a prophet. If someone disobeys the words of the Torah, so there's different types of punishment according to the different types of Aveda that he does, how severe is the Aveda, and according to that, it's the severity of his punishment. But when someone does not listen to the words of the prophet, it doesn't make a difference in what way he disobeys the words of the prophet. It doesn't make a difference what the prophet tells you to do. It can be something extremely small that a prophet gives you over as a prophecy, and you do not listen to this prophecy, even if it's an extremely small thing. If you do not listen to the words of the Navi, the punishment is Misa B'dei Shammai. It does not make a difference what is the commandments. Even if he could tell you don't do something big, if you don't listen, what's the punishment? Misa B'dei Shammai. He tells you don't cross the street, and you cross the street. If you don't listen to this prophecy, it's Chiv Misa B'dei Shammai. Why do we find that if someone disobeys the words of a prophet, it does not make a difference what is the sin that he does, and automatically just gets Misa B'dei Shammai, even though it's extremely small? In Torah, If it's a small Aveda, so you can get Malkus, or, Makas Mardas, Malkus. If it's a more severe Aveda, then there's Misa, and in Misa itself, there are different types of Misa, different types of punishment. But if someone doesn't listen to the Prophet, it doesn't make a difference what it is. It can be something extremely small, right away, Chayiv Misa B'Dei Shemayim. Why? So the explanation is like this. The reason for this is, even though the strength and the awesomeness, the power that the words of Torah has is much more than the strength of the words of the prophets. Move on. From this is understood that there is in a certain aspect a severity, and it's more stringent. What's stronger than Nevuah in general can be even stronger than Divrei Torah to a certain aspect. Even in a case when it's not a direct personal commandment from Hashem to you, that He's telling you this prophecy, you're not over on the Divrei Hanavi like that in such a way. Okay, correct. But nevertheless, what do we see? That Nevuah is greater than Torah to a certain level. Right? Even when you're not, even if it's a case that you're not being over on Divrei Hanavi, because the Navi didn't speak to you directly. The Navi told a general commandment, and the Navi didn't speak with you directly, personally. Nevertheless, even in such a case, the Divrei Hanavuah is more severe and stringent and stronger than Divrei Torah to a certain level, in a certain way, in a certain form. Why? Because this is showing how this commandment of Hashem, or whatever it is, or this prophecy, is more personal. It's more down here. It's not only the way how Hashem is speaking to you from the heavens, so to speak, but it's the way how Hashem came down here in this world, and he gave over this message. Even though He didn't give over this message to you personally, to speak to you in your face, and tell it to you right now through the prophet. Therefore, if you're not going to listen, the guy gets Chiv Misa. No. It's the prophet said it in a general way, but nevertheless, what does that mean? That God brought these words and this commandment down to this world in a much more personal and direct form and way, not only in a heavenly higher form, even though the Torah is also brought down in the world, but it's not brought down in a more, analyzed, much more personal. This is the reason why the Rambam emphasizes that the prophecy of Bilam, that Bilam said it in a way of a prophecy. That Bilam mentioned the Gula, it's not only that it says it in the Torah. If it says it in the Torah in a general way, so it can be more a heavenly thing. But it's said in the Torah in a way of a Nevuah, in a way of a prophecy, which means that God brought this idea of Mashiach down to this world. And not only that, I'm thinking about it now, Hashem brought it down to this world, even to a Goysha prophet. Not only it's brought down to this physical world, to people in this world, to a Jewish prophet, to Moshe Rabbeinu, even a Goy, even a non-Jew, that's a prophet, knows and prophesizes and says that Mashiach is going to come. So someone that doesn't listen to, doesn't believe in the coming of Mashiach, he is denying, not only in Torah, rather, he's denying in prophecy, and in the prophecy of a prophecy. Now the Rebbe says, L'choira, brings down over here, in a footnote. Somebody can ask, how do we have Torah? The whole Torah that we have is also a Nevuah, is also prophecy. That's prophecy for Moshe Rabbeinu. So anything that says in Torah seemingly has this unique quality of Nevuah. So the Rebbe says, the Afal Pi Dezesha Koifer b'Moshe Rabbeinu Haynu b'Pashtus Shekoifer b'Nevuah also Shal Moshe. Even though the Rambam already said someone denies and doesn't believe in Mashiach, is denying in Torah and in Moshe Rabbeinu. What does Moshe Rabbeinu mean? He's denying in the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu. Hareze mipnei shakefer bateiro kefer b'derech mamele b'nevuas shel Moshe. So this that someone is denying in Moshe Rabbeinu, what does that mean? So because he's denying in Torah, he's also denying in Moshe Rabbeinu, which Torah happened to be given to us through prophecy. He's also denying in Moshe Rabbeinu, because Moshe Rabbeinu gave over this prophecy. So he's denying in Torah, and automatically he's also covered in Moshe Rabbeinu that gave this to Torah, and also in the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu. But he's not in a direct form denying in prophecy. It's more in an indirect way. It's more hidden. This idea that he's denying in prophecy, in the concept of prophecy, it's also in prophecy. But what do you see in a revealed form? He's denying in Torah, who gave the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu got it in the way of a prophecy, but it's not emphasized over here, this that someone's denying in prophecy. You cannot compare parts of the Torah that are Torah, which are also prophecy, to parts of the Torah that the whole idea, what it said, the way it's brought down in the Torah, is bursting out this idea that it's prophecy. So it's much more emphasized, the idea of denying in prophecy. There's Torah happened to be given, it is through Moshe Rabbeinu, and through Moshe Rabbeinu got a bit of what. But then there's things that it's emphasized that it's prophecy. And like the Rebbe brings over here in the second level of the footnotes, Api Masha Kosov, Mashalas Chuvas Chasam Sefer, Yeridei, Siman Shin involved, Shapash Azbilam, Hi Adover Yechidish, Ein Shum Eider Aybe Dover. Vonum Aminim Bo, Ach Varak Mipnei Nevuas Moshe, When es Oidjetzer at Goshas Arabam Kefer Beter V'Moshe Rabbeinu, Kem Shavtochas Aguli B'Parshas Bilam. So according to what the Chasam Sefer writes in Parshas Bilam, the Chasam Sefer writes, how do we know, Rabbi Nuchman, how do we know what Bilam said? If I'm going to start telling you now, okay, what a goy, that's far, far away, that I can't see him, he's on top of some far mountain, if I tell you right now, there's a guy in a helicopter right over there, and he's speaking about you and me now. How could I know what's happening over there? And I have no telephone, I have nothing. It has to be that I'm a prophet. That's the way I know what's happening down there. So the Chasam Sofer says, if Moshe Rabbeinu is writing in the Torah what Bilam is doing and Balak is doing, how does Moshe Rabbeinu know what's happening in a different place, B'chalal? Obviously, what does that show us? That Moshe Rabbeinu is a Navi. That Moshe Rabbeinu is a prophet. So the whole story of Parshas Bilam in general is emphasizing the idea of the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu. That Moshe Rabbeinu is a prophet. And if someone doesn't believe in Parshas Bilam, he is denying the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu much more than other parts of the Torah, which are also prophecy. The whole Torah is a prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu. That's how we got the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu was a prophet of Hashem, and Hashem gave him over the Torah. But Parshas Bilam emphasizes this, that Moshe Rabbeinu is a prophet much more. You see in a revealed way that he's a prophet. A guy can be saying prophecies and being a prophet, but it's not emphasized, it's not showing that he's a prophet. He's doing it he's smuggling through his prophecies, let's say. Such a thing is possible. But then there is that it's emphasized that there's no other way to say what he's saying is only if he's a prophet. Understand? That's the way the Chasam Sofer actually writes it. He says all the other parts of the Torah, someone could say that someone wrote down a diary, so to speak. He was there, he saw this, he saw that, and he wrote it down. But if you're talking about, so there's, so to speak, all the other parts of the Torah, there's no one forcing to say that Moshe Rabbeinu was a prophet. The only part of the Torah, the only parsha that forces us that Moshe Rabbeinu is a prophet is Parshas Bilam. Because the only way to know what's happening somewhere else is only if you're a prophet. So he's an imtza, שבשלוש הרayt shevi הרמב"ם מלמדנו שעניין מלך המשיח נאמר ונכתב בכל חלקי תורה שבכתב. Hen b'sipurei v'avtochas ha'Torah k'mefurish b'parshas Nitzavim. Hen b'nevuos shebeTorah k'mefurish b'parshas Bilam shesham niba. Hen b'mitzvahs shebeTorah k'mefurish b'mitzvahs Ari Mikolot. L'chen mi she'ein maimen b'malach HaMashiach reis v'al zeh shu kofer b'Torah. Over Moshe Rabbeinu. Harei yu kofer gam kein b'nevuos shebeTorah. V'chen kofer b'mitzvahs ha'Torah. So it comes out that why does the Rambam choose these three proofs from Parshas Nitzavim, Parshas Bilam, and from Ari Mikolot? Because the Rambam is coming to bring out that Melech HaMashiach is going to come and redeem us. This is written and emphasized in all the different parts of the Torah. This is written and emphasized in the stories and the promises of the Torah, the way it says it in Parshas Nitzavim. It's brought out in the prophecies of the Torah, the way it's brought down where in Parshas Bilam. And it's brought out in the mitzvahs of the Torah, the way it's brought out in Parshas Shoftim, the way it's in the mitzvah of Ari Mikolot, that the mitzvah of Torah, it says a mitzvah, imedes le'elam, 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 the mitzvahs of Torah stand and exist forever and ever and ever. So this is the uniqueness of these three proofs, right? In every single type and part and quality of the Torah, over there we will find that the Torah emphasizes the coming of the Melech HaMashiach in stories and promises, in prophecies, and in the mitzvahs of the Torah, and may it come, take it from Miyad Mamish right now. Amen.
Amen.